You're probably feeling the pressure to build an AI agent. Everyone is talking about autonomous systems running your business while you sleep. But if you've actually tried to build one, you've likely experienced this. This scorecard shows the discrepancy between what we're promised and what actually happens. On the left, the expectation, instant time-saving automation. On the right, the reality, red axes where those metrics should be, and more time spent fixing errors than saving it. Most immediate productivity gains don't come from complex agents. They come from basic AI skills. A skill is a rigid playbook you hand the AI. You tell it, do this exact task in this exact way. It does nothing on its own. It waits for your prompt, and you stay in control. An agent is a worker you delegate to. You give it a goal, you walk away, and it makes its own decisions to get to a finished result without asking you for permission. To figure out which setup your specific task requires, there's a simple 10-second heuristic. I call it the walkaway test. Ask yourself, if you gave the AI its instruction and immediately left the room, could it finish the job without you? If the answer is yes, that's an agent. If it needs you to review its work or course correct along the way, that's a skill. Understanding this difference matters because when you deploy an autonomous system for a task that requires a rigid playbook, the AI eventually guesses. You end up spending more time managing those guesses than you would have spent just doing the work yourself. Let's break down exactly what it takes to deploy a skill effectively. Your input here is a strict, immutable playbook. You aren't giving the AI room to interpret. You're giving it a checklist that it cannot deviate from. The outcome of that strict input is a predictable replication of your desired result. It meets your standards every single time you run it. That precision comes with a trade-off. You remain the manager in the loop. The AI won't start until you push the button, and it won't move to the next phase without your approval. Because it requires your manual initiation, a skill doesn't clear your calendar. It just accelerates how fast a task gets done once you sit down to do it. This comparison matrix maps out those operational differences. Looking at the skill column, you can see the profile, high human involvement, zero decision authority for the AI, and a build time measured in minutes. Sacrificing autonomy to keep that level of control is actually the optimal choice for the majority of your daily operations. You rarely want a machine improvising the tone of your client emails. Skills represent a high-impact, low-effort deployment. They are the most reliable way to get an AI speed boost while protecting the integrity of your workflow. Now let's look at the requirements of the autonomous agent setup. The input changes. Instead of providing step-by-step instructions, you establish a goal and set operational guardrails for the AI to work within. The outcome is hands-off delegation. You hand over the objective, walk away, and return only when there's a finished product. The major trade-offs here is surrender. You are giving up intermediate decision-making authority to the AI. That surrender creates risk. If a variable pops up that falls outside the guardrails you set, the agent will guess. These guesses cause hidden operational errors that you won't catch until the final product fails. To prevent those errors, you have to spend significant hours engineering, testing, and debugging every logic pathway the AI might take. This quadrant chart maps where both setups sit, plotting upfront build effort against time saved. Skills land in the low-effort, high-impact sector. Agents deliver high impact too, but move far to the right, requiring massive engineering effort to achieve those promised savings. AI agents are simply tools for achieving scale, but because the build time and failure costs are high, they can become a trap for untested or low-volume workflows. To navigate this, we use a step-by-step decision tree to route any workplace task to the correct setup. This starts with one primary question. Does this task require intermediate decisions? Moving down, the next node asks, can I afford to skip the review of the final output? If a task requires you to make choices along the way, or if you cannot afford to skip a final review, you followed the no path. The logic is clear. Deploy a skill. You can only safely automate a task completely if the process is predictable enough that it doesn't need intermediate decisions, and low stakes enough that you don't need to see the result before it ships. That's when you build an agent. Use this flowchart as a filter for your time. It prevents you from wasting weeks on agent development when a simple skill would have solved the problem. If you are an AI beginner or simply need tight control over your output, stick exclusively to skills. It guarantees reliability while you learn exactly how AI interprets your instructions. If you are a professional managing high-stakes client tasks, apply the flowchart. Keep high-risk tasks as rigidly controlled skills and only delegate low-stakes jobs, like data sorting, to an agent. And if you are an operations leader looking for scale, you still have to validate your playbooks manually first. A workflow must succeed as a skill before you grant an AI the autonomy to execute it as an agent. The bottom line is this: you have to master building playbooks before you attempt to hire autonomous workers.